YouTube, I thought I would film a little vlog, a little day in the life, because my life is strange, and part of that strangeness is because I'm self-employed, own my own business, but also because I've got so many weird workarounds for my ADHD, right? So one that is particularly important to me, but is also highly privileged, is the fact that I embrace a slow morning, right? I am terrible in the morning. I find it very difficult to do anything, including making this video. So I don't put too much pressure on myself. I try to ignore the judgment you get from people when they hear like, oh, you woke up at 10 a.m. It's like, yeah, because I do better with more sleep later. I go to bed later than normal people. And I'm aware that I can only do this because I don't have a normal 9-to-5 job, right? I've shifted everything. So I guess if this were a tips video, tip number 1 is don't feel judged if you're not a morning person and you aren't experiencing what other people experience in the morning. Your dopamine levels are at their lowest in the morning. So for a person with ADHD, it's going to be very difficult to be motivated to do anything other than maybe doom scroll on your phone.
Until it is done.
So as with any ADHD person, I have a severe caffeine addiction. So I've already had a cup of coffee, but like my brain is so mush in the morning. I was like, last night I was like, I'll record like a cool B-roll of me making a coffee, be one of those YouTubers. Just wasn't happening. But once I've got that coffee in me, I always make sure to front load my hydration, because as soon as I'm medicated, I have a tendency to forget to drink water. So what do we throw in this? We got potassium, magnesium, and then just classic sodium. Why not Himalayan salt? Because I'm actually after some of the iodine that they use in classic table salt. Alright, because I'm a gym rat, of course, there's creatine as well. This may be one of the only fitness YouTube channels that you'll see that I don't have a code to get you cheaper creatine. I'm sorry. Then I just put a tea bag in. Fill her up. This way I get a liter of water into me, enough electrolytes that even if I forget to drink for the next 5 hours, I've got enough to keep me going. I obviously try to drink all the time, like I try to keep water, my hydration up, but this just is my insurance that I'm hydrated optimally, right? So not even just water, I've got the correct amount of salts in me as well, the correct amount of electrolytes, especially because I will train later on today. And when I do train, I don't want to suddenly be like, I don't want to suddenly pick up a heavy weight and be like, this is really difficult, because my muscles don't work, because there's sludge inside them. Just really rub it in my face on how bad I am at dealing with mornings. I live right next to a rugby field, football field, cricket pitch, whatever. So I get to wake up to people being super productive and getting stuff done, and I can't even roll out of bed and make myself look half decent for a video. Okay, so once I've got all my hydration sorted out, I find it very important to get like a full breakfast in me. And as I've said in a previous video, I have seen that there's a connection between like me eating enough like good saturated fats that keep my brain healthy and allow me to focus. But also an unspoken thing is the medication works better when you consume it with protein. So I have a high protein, high fat breakfast, and let me walk you through what that looks like. So it usually looks something a bit like this. Got some venison sausages, 3 fried eggs, then we got some white bread because, you know, I'm a savage. But then I also have hot honey and some kimchi on top just for like bit of fiber, good for the gut, and just like starting my day right. I'm gonna get this in me now. We are now firmly into the afternoon.
I've done some work at home, but even recording this blog has like made my ADHD ability to get stuff completed like severely handicapped. So like I've procrastinated going into the gym, but I'm gonna go into the gym now. I gotta swing by the supermarket, get a workout in, and then head back home nice and late. Like I said, I'm all about the slow morning. My brain only kind of turns on at like 2-3 p.m. is when I'm at my best. So let's make use of that now, eh?
While I struggle to have any kind of semblance of organization and planning for the future, the one thing I can always seem to do is make sure that I have coffee available for the next day. So this became a priority task for me today as I had to swing by the supermarket to get coffee.
Coffee acquired.
One thing I do want to talk about is the difficulty I have with transitional tasks. The transition itself can be quite mentally taxing, and it's hard to explain to someone what it's like. Part of the reason this happens with ADHD is it takes a lot of effort to gain momentum in a task. So once you get started, you're good, but it can be a real barrier summoning the energy in order to start something new. So for instance, me riding my bike to the gym isn't difficult per se, but getting myself to get my bike out and actually head to the gym can be an absolute mission. Same with going home.
So yeah, obviously there are a bunch of things that I've done to set up my life around the limitations, the barriers that I have with my ADHD. The funny thing is, these were all in place prior to diagnosis. I just kind of realized, like, I used to be just like, I'm a night owl, but I'd still feel like a bunch of shame when people would be like, oh, you need to get up earlier. Now I am much more comfortable in giving myself permission to be the way I am, even if that does mean getting to work at 3 p.m. You know, it just means I gotta work a bit later, work a bit different, but it is what it is. So I'm gonna get some work done now, and then I'm going to train tonight.
This training session was a bit of a slog to get into today. I just wasn't really vibing with it. I think partly was the fact that I felt like this video that I'm making had taken quite a lot of pep out of me because I kept thinking it's gonna suck and having all these like self-judging thoughts. It's not gonna make any sense. But even still managed to squat 160 for 2 relatively easily. So yeah, that lift felt like trash, but actually looked okay when I looked back on it on the video. And I think that's just the way my brain manifests on some days. So I was finding this very difficult today because, like I said, I was really quite excited to film this video, but then my overactive brain kept on putting thoughts of like judgment that this is a stupid idea, and it kind of affected my mood for the entire day. So you'll see I'm quite low energy through all of this. I can struggle to make myself do things I don't want to, and by the time I started this video, I didn't want to. And it's very easy, especially with ADHD, to then stop. But I've grown enough of the ability to just power through that this is an instance where I was like, nah, just make the video, Damien. Who cares if it's lower quality? It's just important to get content out there. So this was actually a 5x5 deadlift. It was supposed to be at 160, but I realized on set 3 that I was doing 170, and it was kind of confusing because I was like, why does this feel like trash? And I just put it down again to my mindset, but for once it wasn't my mindset. It was the fact that there was more weight on the bar than there was supposed to be. Either way, still kind of dug my heels in and got it done. And while I know I'll always feel better after the training has also helped when I have these like negative days, because training's kind of taught me to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. So although training may be a physical expression, I think it does also carry over to like your ability to handle your mental self. Trying to vlog an entire day without any real direction had turned out to be probably a bad idea in retrospect, but hey, this is just me being raw and real. We can't always keep everything nice and beautiful for social media. But yeah, as you can see, just knocking away at these deadlifts. I was doing 5 like every 2 minutes. So this 5x5 was done in a 10-minute time frame. But yeah, I think it's just a good idea to show what my life can actually be like. Like today was not a particularly productive day. Nothing really went well. And now that this day has long passed, I can tell you I did not get anything done that I wanted to really get done. My mental energy was just completely sucked out of me. I did do some work that I didn't film, but yeah, it was a bit of a struggle street day. So here's a real day in the life. No pretty vlogs here.
So I have no idea if all this footage will make sense of what my day actually looks like, because I didn't really film any of the stuff where I'm like doing work. But yeah, work is done sporadically. It's now 8 o'clock at night, and like I've said before, with this like delayed circadian rhythm, I'm be like waking up later and getting the day started. Although most people are winding down right now, I actually feel really good. So I'm gonna make my way home, hang out with Sophie for a bit, and then she'll go to bed, and I'll still have a few hours left of the day, and then we will start again with another late start. So that is kind of how my day is structured. It's not like most people's, and I think it's pretty, like I'm very, very conscious that my day is set up weirdly, and I only get to do it because I'm self-employed. My life is definitely built around these barriers that exist when it comes to a few things, right? First of all, it's the delayed circadian rhythm, not being good in the morning, so requiring a slow start, and then also my motivation to do stuff even while medicated coming in weird waves. So although I have things that are priorities, I kind of follow what is most appealing to get done, right? So I've gotten better at making sure that I get stuff done that is important, but I still can never tell you until the day of what I need to do. I kind of have overarching ideas of what needs to be done in the week, but I don't plan specific times because I never know if I'm going to run into an inability to finish them or get them started if I can start something else. I just make sure that every task I do is productive, but I don't get too caught up in how I structure them, right? Where they go. I'm very good at hitting deadlines. In fact, they are a massive way of keeping me on track, but I do accept that at times when there is a deadline that needs to be hit, I will only be able to get it done because of the looming deadline, and I'll have to have a stress period. So although I give myself permission to relax and not be judged for being what I'd call a piece of shit in the morning in the past, I also accept that with that comes a stress of sometimes having to bloody put the pedal to the metal and get way more work done in a shorter amount of time. But yeah, that's my vlog for today. A little bit all over the place. Again, won't know if this works until I put the footage together, but I hope it tells some kind of narrative. We will find out. Like the video, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you next time.